Hi, my name is Barbara Fernandez. I'm Latina. I am Brasileira. I'm a speech language pathologist and an immigrant. And today I wanted to share the longer story, the whole story about the release of a book that I wrote 2 months ago. This is the book. It became Amazon's best-selling book within the speech pathology category, the communication disorders category. It's also still occupying spots 1, 2, and 3 within the hot new release area on Amazon. The number 1 being the paperback, then number 2 being the ebook version, number 3 being the hardcover copy. To say that I feel humbled by this experience is just a vocabulary that I'm using because I don't know what other words to use for the experiences that I'm having right now. The idea for this book popped in my head on November 21st, 2021. Today is February 2nd, which for Brazilians is actually, for Brazilians from Salvador, which is the region where I come from in Brazil, it's Dia de Iemanjá. It's a really special day for us. And it's been 63 days since I had the idea of writing this book. And I'm holding the book right here. That's wild. Yes. I want to give you guys a little bit of backstory. I want to share with you guys about the book, all that it relates and to the book, or at least as much as I can in the amount of time that would make sense for a YouTube video. A little bit about me. I came to the United States as an adult, as a 21-year-old immigrant, and the Brazilian government sponsored me to come. I could never have afforded to travel out of my country. This is just not within my reality, but if you don't know the details, you're gonna have to buy the book. And I'm in a field that is one of the widest fields in America. A number between 88% and 92% is thrown out there because of the intersection between Latinos and the other groups that are a minority within this field. But this reality brings about challenges for minorities that are within the speech pathology and communication sciences and disorders field that creates a lot of scars. And I am one of those people that for the last 16 years have held to things that still bothered me, and I just was unaware of this until the events that happened on November 20th at the 2021 ASHA convention. I had one incredible experience in the daytime, and then I had a distressing experience the evening of that day. The next day I go into my room and I start writing. I didn't know it was going to be a book. I didn't know what it was going to be. I came home, things started to take shape. I got hyper focused, and as somebody who knows nothing about writing a book, I remember picking up a book on my shelf and thinking, okay, I like this book. It's The Alchemist. And I looked up on Google, how many words is in it? All right, it's 37,500 words. Okay, I'm gonna write a book that length. And I sat to write. It was one of the most taxing experiences that I've actually actively chose to do. I cried every single day as I wrote, either from my own stories or from the stories of the 18 colleagues that also shared their experiences of survival and triumphs within our field. As I was writing this book, it was clear to me that there was a lot that needed to be said. My experiences are just one experience, it's one point of view. I've heard a lot of these experiences from our colleagues on our interactions over the years, and I started emailing them. I sent them messages, text messages, emails, and I asked, look, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know how to write a book. I don't know how to publish a book, but I'm writing. Do you want to do this? And obviously people need more guidance, right? And I didn't know what I was doing. And I said, you know what, if I just give you some prompt questions, would that work? Can you just go with that and just write something for me? Write a story you want to share. It could be a story of triumph. It could be a story of survival. And I keep saying these words because I never mentioned the title. So the title of this book, it says, Sis, You Got This, From Surviving to Thriving as a Minority Speech-Language Pathologist. As the responses from my colleagues and friends start to come, it was obvious, it was clear to me that there were some of us in a state in which this was too difficult and traumatic for them to revisit, which is what I did my whole life. And for some of them, they're like, okay, let me give it a try. As time went by, and I was determined to complete the book in 30 days. And there is more to this story and why I wanted to write it in 30 days. And I explained this on the book. It comes from my own shortcomings with attention. And I know that I have too much on my plate. That if I didn't do this as I was feeling the drive and the emotions, I would probably just put this project on the shelf, along with a lot of other projects that I didn't finish. This is how I adjusted my life, and I've been able to achieve a lot in this career, is by playing to my strengths. I realize that I'm not good at not following the next shiny thing. So if I want to get something done, I have to do it fast before something else shines in front of me. It was hard because I had to put my entire thought process, I had to process things as I'm writing. I had to come to conclusions as I'm writing. I had to, some of my colleagues didn't feel comfortable writing. I mean, these SLPs might not be writers, and they're like, Barbara, I want to say, but I don't know how to write. And I told them, I'll write it for you. Let's chat. And then we would sit in, and I'll say, let's reserve 30 minutes on our video conference. And these 30 minutes would become an hour and a half. And we were both crying and empathizing with each other's experiences. Their stories are in this book too. As I went through my first and second rounds, I realized that I was coming across information and data that kept leading and generating more chapters. My goal was to get to 37,000 words, 37,500, I don't know, this is a random number, by the way. I ended up getting too close to 60,000 words. I almost doubled my goal of words because the more I wrote, the more I had to say. And as this process unfolded, I, as an immigrant who came to this country with nearly non-existent English, I'm very aware of my shortcomings when it comes to writing and spelling and grammatical and prepositions and all of these things. So I contacted somebody who would review my writings every other day, and she would correct my grammar as I'm going along. And I told her, I know this is not how you do things, but I need this done fast. I can't wait for me to finish writing, for you to go ahead and look over my grammar, because I will be too overwhelmed by how much you might need to fix, and I might just throw in the towel. So I need us to do this together. And she's never done this before. She said, I'll do it. And then I had to find editors. I didn't know that there were different types of editors, that there is a content editor, there's a copy editor. I wanted a minority editor, and posting an ad specifically for a minority editor, finding somebody that understood what I needed, but he was also willing to give me honest feedback on things that I don't know, things that I could be doing better. I'm glad I found that person. I was fortunate enough to have colleagues who did their turnaround fast on my requests. And one day I'm in the shower and I realize I know what I want to do for my cover. I own a business called Smarty Ears, and the character for that company is a duck. There's a reason behind the duck, for it's a personal reason for that duck. And as I'm there in the shower, going through a lot of emotions for several days in a row, and this was, by the way, this was during my Christmas break. So we think of my kids were home from school, I'm riding with them there. My husband reminded me, you couldn't walk because I was in so much pain from, I have back issues, and I was paralyzed, seemed too dramatic, but I legit couldn't walk for several days, and I was just using that time to write. Somebody told me today, Barbara, you wrote this not only with mental pain, but with a lot of physical pain. And you will feel these words as you read my book. But going back to the cover, I was in the shower and I had this epiphany about what I wanted in my cover. One of the things for me that I think it was transformation, I think I only realized as I was getting data, as I was getting things out, sharing my experiences, my thoughts, my perceptions of the events, is that I don't think I ever realized who I am, what I bring to the table, the things that make me, and extremely valuable to this field. Not to the full extent, anyways, until I was able to process all of this in writing. It's almost like being able to summarize my experiences in 30 days. It was wild. And finally realizing and looking back that I have 2 successful businesses. I've been able to publish over 60 technology products that are all successful in the marketplace. I still couldn't quite see myself for all the contributions. And obviously this tells a lot of the trauma and the systemic oppression that I faced, and a lot of SLPs who are in the minority group face. My colleagues of color, my culturally linguistic diverse colleagues share their experiences, and they also share what things made a difference to help them thrive. The book's not just about survival and struggle. The book is about thriving. This is something that we don't talk about enough. The ones of us who are thriving, who found a way to succeed, can look back and say, this is how we did it. These were the things that helped us despite all this. 1/3 of my book is spent on surviving. 2/3 is spent on thriving and giving back. I feel like I've already contributed a lot to this field just through my technology and my diverse symbol set with Smarty symbols. I think sitting here today holding this book, I think this is my biggest contribution to this field. Because it's contributing to an area that I extremely value, which is honoring who we are as people, our individuality, our differences in what we bring to the table. I want you to see this in yourself, and I want those of you who aren't part of a minority, and I know you see, that you will be able to relate to a lot of our struggles. And common ground is the only way for us to move forward. I deeply believe in this. Going back to the cover, I keep moving away from the cover. So this is the cover right here. So this is my logo of my company. This is it right here. The same girl's right here. And she says, let me see if I can focus. I can focus here. She has a speaker, not a speaker, what do you call those things? She has that thing that she's holding that I'm having word finding problems now. And she's realizing that she's a swan. She's not an ugly duckling anymore. I was told I was an ugly duckling for way too long. And I think there's a moment when we go from places to places trying to find belonging. It is through belonging that we realize once we find the people who support us, who accept us for who we are, is that we realize that we are not ugly ducklings. We are beautiful swans with what we bring to the table. So that's the story of this book. And there's only one male duck right here. He's getting awards. There's a reason for this, and there's a whole chapter on this. You know that we are in a female majority field, but based on the data that I looked, with the limited time I had, there's still chairs of department, editors of journals. They are receiving 60% of awards. They are the people, the professionals that are invited as guest speakers at conferences. More on this here on my chapter. And because it is a book for women, this is a women empowerment book. For those of you who are men, who are wondering why you were excluded, this is a book for women. My goal was to have a release date on March 8th. I spent the first 30 days writing. I spent the next 30 days editing, formatting the book, which is something I had no idea was a thing. So after you actually edit the book, there's a whole other person who comes and who makes like the chapter title, put things and makes the font looks good and adjusts so that it's ready for be published. I needed to design the cover. So these are the things I was doing the last 30 days. So my goal for February, for the whole month of February, was to sit and create a marketing plan, create a marketing strategy, and make sure that the people who need to hear my words would hear them and would know about this book. This is the book that I wish I had 16 years ago when I almost gave up in this field. And for those of you who already read the book, you might know this about me now. I don't read things. So my ebook was on pre-order for 3 or 4 days. Once I received the PDF with my full version for the paperback, I thought, well, let me upload it so that people can start pre-ordering the book for the March 8th release. And March 8th is International Women's Day, and I wanted to release on International Women's Day. But it turns out that when I clicked the button, thinking that it was going to go on pre-order, the book was made live. I was in Florida at the ATIA, the Assistive Technology Industry Convention, with plans to come back home later. And I called Amazon. I tried to figure out if there was a way to make the book unavailable, to get it out of, and to just start over, but it was too complicated. It was late night. I bought a plane ticket and I came home. I was overwhelmed. I wanted to be with my family. And I said, I'm just gonna go with it. There are some things, and it's interesting that at that moment, I think I felt disappointed at myself. I was disappointed that I clicked the wrong button. I had spent so much time researching on how to have a successful book release. And there's all these tricks. You put your book in pre-order and you let the book be pre-ordered for 30 days and it's more likely to be successful and have visibility. And I was so disappointed that I did all this and I just blew it with not reading and clicking the button. But this is my MO. This is how I navigate, right? I'm not surprised, but I was disappointed in myself that I feel like I worked so hard to just not get to the finish line. But it didn't matter. I said, no, I'm gonna go with it. I blew the International Women's Day release. I'm just gonna go home and be with my family, enjoy this moment. So I got a ticket, I rushed the airport the next early morning. On my flight back home, my family didn't even know I was coming back sooner. My husband, my kids didn't know. I put a group text to my SLP colleagues who contributed. And I told them, ladies, I'm sorry, the book is live. I have all sorts of emotions. But this is it. The book is live, it's public, and congratulations. Thank you for your support, all of that, right? I remember I was sitting on the plane and I had these two men. I was in the middle row, I think it was the last ticket. And, I had my mask and I'm crying, and these two men are probably like, what's going on with this woman here? Just, there is other funny things here on to this story, but I came home late afternoon and I wrote a post on the flight too, announcing to my friends that the book was live, and it was not an official release to the public yet. I would just post it to my close Facebook friends. It was just an official thing it was just an unofficial things for my close Facebook friends. And I realized that so many of them didn't even know I was writing a book. It was so short. Some of these SLPs saw me at ASHA and I didn't know I was writing a book. We went out for dinner the day before and I had no idea that I was about to write a book. Everybody started commenting, resharing, reposting. So this was Saturday morning, Friday morning. Honestly, today is Wednesday of the following week. And it's been a whirlwind with support. I'm getting emails from other SLPs who identify with my story, identify with the stories of the other women in the book. And they share their own stories of struggle. I still have not been able to keep up with responding. So if you're seeing this message, you haven't heard back from me. I'm still struggling to survive with all this unexpected book release. I've been trying to make the most out of it to get the word out. And I'm so grateful that this is a message that is, I guess it was overdue. Were there times when I wish somebody else would pick up this flag and just do it? Yeah. I've doubted if I was ever publishing this because there's a lot of truths and honest realities and stories in this book that doesn't make a lot of people look good. There are lots of things that doesn't make me look good. And I doubted if I was going to put this out. But ultimately, it's in sharing our vulnerable selves with our mistakes that makes us all grow. Giving grace to people has been one of the biggest takeaways for me as I wrote this book. As a lot of people fail to give others grace and respect for each other's journey. In fact, respect for our own journey is the reason why I wrote this book to begin with. It was in the denial of my journey and my reality that this book came to life. But the whole point of that I want to kind of close out this video here is to say that I am humbled by the support, the vulnerability of those of you who wrote to me, the photos, the text messages, the reshares, the I need this, the quotes you're already posting online from this book. I see you. Yesterday I came back from Zumba. It's a big passion of mine. Gotta dance. And it hit me that even though I've contributed significantly to this field, I don't think I've ever felt so seen as I feel right now. And I feel seen because you see me as a human being, not as an object that is contributing and putting things out for the benefit of the field. I feel seen for who I am and what I bring to the table. What I bring to the table with all my flaws, and what I bring to the table with all my qualities and things that make me uniquely me. People who see me for who I am, people having part of my life, and they aren't even the target group that I'm speaking to with this book, but they feel the need and they see the value in listening to me, my stories, and the stories of the other speech pathologists who share their stories here. I wanted to record this video to let you see me, see the backstory of this chaotic book release. I honestly think I could write a book about the accidental book release, with all that it entailed. That an SLP sent me this book that it reminded her it was the best mistake I've ever made, and I've heard SLPs tell me maybe somebody out there really needed to listen to these stories now, and they couldn't wait until March 8th. They needed it now. So I'm gonna close it with that. Thank you for your support. For me as a businesswoman, as the owner of 2 businesses in our field, but thank you to my friends, to my colleagues, and to the strangers that will feel like you're now my BFF after you get to spend some time with this book. Yesterday was when I actually received this copy. Many people received this copy before I did. My goal was to have my copy, which is one of these copies that you receive, to see if you like the font and to then approve for all of this stuff. And it didn't go that well. So, I read it and I was like, this font is still small. But that's it. But I wanted to share a story. Is yesterday Amazon delivered this book. And fortunately, we live in the age of technology where Ring was recording, and Amazon came to deliver the book. The Amazon delivered man. And I told him, this might be something important. You might be delivering my book. I wrote a book. And he was also an immigrant. I wish Ring had recorded the whole interaction. He could see that I was an immigrant myself. And there was this connection that he felt proud that he was delivering the book that I wrote. On that note, I'm now gonna actually finish. And thank you so much for your support. You can get this book on Amazon. It's available worldwide. The ebook will be released on International Women's Day, March 8th, 2022.